Welcome back, beautiful people, to the Three Amigos podcast. Frankie Rodriguez, Anthony Olan, Christopher Langsdorff. We're jumping right in. Spider-Man 2 gameplay. I'm not a Sony pony. You two are Sony ponies. I got opinions. You guys have opinions. I'm sure it's all positive. It's game of the year to you already. Let's just dive in. What do you guys think? I watched it on my way to on my way home on the train. Uh, Needed to rewatch it again. I've rewatched it. I have my thoughts, but I need to hear you guys because you guys watched it, and I'm hoping in all its glory in HD. I had grainy footage, so I had to rewatch it in 4K. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I've seen it like three times by
Nice,
now.
nice.
Just
Okay.
kept rewatching it, looking for little details, little hints about what might be going on.
Hmm.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It's like some of the most impressive footage revealed that I have seen in a while in terms of
Hmm.
like looking next gen and
Right.
just very impressive based on the first two games that they've done with Spider-Man so far. And this looks awesome. This
Yeah.
looks absolutely awesome. I have no notes. I was amazed the whole time. Just incredible. Uh, yeah, this looks sick. I mean, we can break it down more, but yeah, my initial impressions are that was everything I could have hoped for.
It's one of those things where there's so many words you can say, but you also don't have words to say because holy shit, man. So I've been saying for like a long time since Spider-Man Far From Home. I remember I was talking to my brother about it and I was like, yo, they gotta put that wingsuit in the game. And they did. And
Hmm.
I was like, they gotta put in like a GTA kind of switch between the characters for Peter and Miles. And they did. They gotta expand the city and add more to it. And they did. So I was noticing, okay, I watched it again because I just finished filming my video for it. And you know that part on the East River closer to I guess closer to Harlem, there's that green like overpass that connects Manhattan to that little island to the side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I guess like at night that bridge kind of like lifts up. It's in the game. He passes by it in the game. And I was like, holy shit, they're adding more that we can see and explore. We got Queens. I don't know about Brooklyn. I'm hoping Brooklyn has to be in there, right? If not, whatever. We got
I don't
Queens.
know, because in this universe, Miles lives in Harlem. So I think
True.
from the angle of the map, I thought it was Brooklyn because I was assuming they were going downtown.
Right.
But I think the map was flipped because Miles was the last person they showed in Manhattan, and he lives in Harlem. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, so it's going up, so it's Queens, which would make sense because Peter Parker does spend a little bit of time in Queens here and there. So
Peter Porker.
And then if you notice, I talked about this briefly in my video that it's not just a black suit. It actually has combat to it, similar to Web of Shadows.
Hmm.
Really cool symbiote moves. And I was thinking the same thing that you said in the chat, Frankie. Like the suit looks like alive, like alien, like it's organic. It's not just a
Hmm.
threaded suit. It looks freaking badass. And
Yep.
I love how, the voice acting, you can tell Peter is a bit
Influence.
more aggressive and he's kind of a dick. And
Yeah, he's
so
like it's the influence of the symbiote.
yeah, like
mhm.
it's awesome. I really can't wait. I can't wait. I don't have any other words.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't wind up getting a PlayStation 5 for the holidays. That's probably gonna change now because of this game. Um, yeah, like my first initial thoughts when the first game came out, I wasn't that huge of like a fan of the suit. Um, it's still up in the air for me in a way, but I love this new black suit, this new this whole imagination of the story. When you found out that the symbiote was attached to Harry at the end of the game, sorry, spoilers. I think you've had enough time to try and figure that out. Um, sorry, but that was like, wow,
Like
that's a
I
good story. That's a good story waiting to happen, and now we're getting it. What were you gonna say,
I
Ant?
have lived in like four different cities since that game came out. If you haven't played or seen that part by now, come on.
You fake New Yorker
Like,
now. Get out of here.
yeah,
No.
but Yeah, because I know in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, there was a couple of episodes, or maybe it might have been one or a couple episodes where Harry was briefly Venom. So, it is very interesting to see that they're going to do it for this one. Supposedly, I heard some leaks that it could still be Eddie. I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
I
Having
don't think he
Harry be
was.
Venom is a much better.
Yeah, my big thing was that when they did the reveal for Venom, and Chris, you pointed this out. I don't know if you wanted to talk about this, but you know, I was expecting like some tease about more Venom, and they didn't. And that's a big positive for me. It's like don't show, you know, your ace. Don't show your Joker.
Mm,
Don't show any of your special cards. Don't show your trap card. Don't show your quick play. You know, I support that so well, but it is like I know Sony games are different from Sony Studios, whereas Sony Studios just wants to show you everything that in its power,
hmm
so they could get you to the movies and watch. However, for me, it wouldn't. I don't want to watch that afterwards after the trailer because like why would I? I've already saw it on my computer. So this was a big plus for me. It was just like seeing that the 10 minutes of gameplay trailer was incredible. I thought there was some like rendering issues at times. And I blamed it on how I was viewing it. And when I was watching the computer, you could tell just a little bit that there might be some rendering stuff, but it's still early. They have time. They can fix it. And even then, it's so minuscule. It's just things that my eye over the years like have just captured and readjust. Like, I'm playing Resident Evil 4 now, and it's night and day compared to the when the game came out in '04 and '03. Both games are still fun to me, but it's completely different now in terms of the graphics, you know. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna put out there because the capability of the PlayStation 5 is fantastic. It's strong. It's a powerful console. The perspective for me is like they don't need to do much other than add things, and because you already know you're getting a great story, you're getting a great fantastic game. They should just copy and paste things over. You would hope, but maybe like obviously change a few things to add things and expand. And the one thing that's probably going to be expanding is obviously both Miles and Peter's attacks, especially with the symbiote involved. Those moves, those shit, that was amazing. That was very reminiscent of Spider-Man Web of Shadows. However, I'd never played Web of Shadows, but I've seen the gameplay, I've seen the story, and the attacks, the potential of that, like that's just gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have a great time playing that and just spamming and using whatever uh specials the black suit has because I think that was something that wasn't highlighted enough, but that's okay because let's again we're very excited and we're very like high off of that.
Right. And I wonder how much they're gonna try to like not too much of like copy and paste from Web of Shadows, but would we be able to switch between symbiote and non-symbiote whenever we want, as well as in Web of Shadows, the symbiote suit was stronger, but it was much slower in terms of web swinging. And the red
Mhm.
one was how you would get around quicker. And there was also combos that would have you switch between the suits to finish your combo.
Mhm.
If they do it, cool. If not, I'm still for it. Um, like I know like Chris, you love Craven the Hunter, right? Um, I was looking
Yeah.
at the trailer and I was like, damn, Craven looks good in this game. Like,
Very intimidating.
and I'm just like, awesome. Like I know like some friends of mine were like, yeah, I'm hoping to see some Wolverine stuff. I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna see that right now. Like
Mm-mm.
Spider-Man is coming out this year, so they're gonna show Spider-Man. Wolverine, they might show something next year. If we're lucky this year, maybe not. But that was really the only reason to watch this. In my opinion, the only reason to watch this presentation was the Spider-Man gameplay. They are doing the handheld thing, which I have thoughts about that and the earbuds, but um I don't know what else to really say about the game. Everything else we can, talk about, but the game itself, I'm ready for it. We're possibly getting a September release date. I doubt it's gonna come out in October to clash with Assassin's Creed. Didn't the first one come out in September?
It did come out in September. but I think it'll come out in November.
Man, I missed that
That's my
PS4 that
guess.
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to come out in September. I don't think they're going to want to
Yeah.
go against the Pokemon DLC.
Oh, that's right. The Pokemon DLC.
That comes out back to back months, so I think they kind of have to put it out in September. There's a lot of interesting dialogue in the gameplay that has me really wondering what point of the game this footage is from, because when we get introduced to Black Suit Peter, he's
It's
coming
just,
out of the basement,
yeah, that was very interesting.
not
Noticed that.
sure, and he already has the black suit. Maybe he's got like a lab in the basement, and he was like messing around with the symbiote stuff. Unsure. Also curious when when and how does he get it? Because when we meet him in this trailer, it's it's hinted at that Miles is unaware that Peter has the symbiote suit.
I think
Because when they meet, he's
yeah,
like, "Oh, new suit." Spider-Man's like, "Yeah, whatever."
it felt more like he knew about that Peter had found something, but didn't realize that the suit was now like with him or something.
Yeah,
Or
there was
like,
also
yeah.
Well, here's
like
what I
and well, there was some interesting dialogue about like who Peter is talking about in this gameplay footage and who Miles is talking about, because Miles, a lot of his dialogue makes it seem like a decent amount of his part of the story to that point involves Craven, and a lot
Mm.
of Peter's dialogue seems to hint at a lot of his part of the story to that point involves Kirk Connors and Harry,
The
who,
Osborns, yeah.
right, who he like figure finds out is alive and not like in France or whatever, like he thought from the first game. So there, like I thought it was an interesting choice to show the footage that they chose to show and include the dialogue that they chose to include, because it leaves a lot open for what happened before this point in the game, which I think is all
so
very interesting.
I'm
Strategic, maybe.
wondering I'm wondering if they're doing something like because if you notice that's where they say press square to switch between. If that's the first part of the game where you can switch between, I'm wondering if it's like they're both doing their own different things for the time being because um as you had mentioned earlier, Miles was like he's never like that, and oh, you have a new suit. And also, as far as all the other versions of Black Suit Spider-Man, he doesn't become a dick right away. It's a little bit of time that passes before he becomes a dick. So like
Hmm.
it could be he had the suit for a little bit, but he hasn't really been seeing Miles for a while because New York City is a big ass fucking place. Like,
Not for
it could be
superheroes.
like, right, but it could be like, Miles, now that there's two of us, you can primarily focus on this area for now while I'm helping out with this area just so we can cover more ground as heroes. And then maybe they're also working on something else. Maybe Peter's trying to find Harry while Miles is doing, crimes or whatever. Yeah, but, we don't know. But I'm interested to see where they go. And I've made this joke a number of times before. I'm going to keep making the joke until it happens. Take the character model for Norman Osborn and just replace it with Conan O'Brien.
Oh
Like it's never
gosh.
going to happen, but just just do it for me.
I was thinking that there is maybe a decent chance that that is the first time you switch, because since the most recent game is basically all Miles Morales and Peter's only in the beginning and the literal like end credits, it would make sense to start the game mostly off as Peter, because you haven't really played as him in like 4 5 years, whenever the like first Spider-Man game came out. I am kind of curious like how the switching is. I don't think from a story perspective it would make too much sense if you have him like taking off the black suit, putting it back on, to like clicking a button like you did in Web of Shadows. Even though that was cool, it made sense with the story. I don't know how much sense it's going to make with this story. But I am curious to see how they work the alternating characters. It seems like maybe after they introduce it the first time,
Hmm.
you should be able to just like GTA style click a button, and then Miles is like doing something, swinging through the city at his house or whatever, and then you click, you go to Peter, and then when there's a mission, they just like, tell you who you're playing as or whatever. Um, but I think it would make a lot of sense if you start the game out for the first like, I don't know, 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours playing as just Peter. But I'm very curious what's happening with Harry because
I know.
Peter
So
says
many
Harry's
questions.
dying.
Hmm.
There's teases in both games about what's going on with Harry
Yeah.
in end of Spider-Man 1 and then in the end of Miles Morales there's another tease. I want to know how
Wait, there was
Peter
a tease
finds
at the end of
out.
Miles?
Hmm?
There was a tease at the end of the Miles Morales game?
I believe so. I
I
remember
don't remember
two
that.
teases about what's going on with Harry, and I think one of them was at the end of Miles, but I can't remember. Um, but I'm just very curious where Peter is, where he fits into all of this, and sort of like what Miles' part of the story is, because based on the gameplay, I was kind of trying to like, what's the final boss situation look like in this game? And so far, it's like the final boss could be Miles versus Peter. It could be Miles and
Hmm.
Peter versus Craven. It could be Miles and Peter versus Craven and Venom. It could be Miles and Peter versus Venom. There's like so many combinations of what. And then I'm curious, like, what is Venom's part in the story? Because Peter has to get the black suit off. So I'm very curious, and I just I'm very appreciative of how creative Insomniac is getting with the black suit stuff. And I think it's really cool because it shows that they clearly had some sort of plan for a multi-game long story that they wanted to tell. I think that this game wouldn't make as much sense if they didn't make the Miles Morales game because essentially if you play the first Spider-Man game and then you skip a Miles Morales game and you play this one, you're missing out on a lot. Like you're missing out on a lot of stuff that made Miles who he is and why he's so good at his role.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just man, it's just all
So
super impressive.
to add on to that point, and I don't remember if I spoke to you guys about this months ago or if I was just saving it for something like this, but they're going to eventually make a third game, right? At some point. That's what
Yeah,
we hope and think.
You'd
I
hope.
hope so.
So, do you think that this game is going to end with Peter dying?
It could. Honestly, it could.
It most definitely could. And you figure, aside from MJ and Miles, he lost Uncle Ben, he lost Aunt May in the last game. Harry could potentially die in this game too if he's going to be Venom and be evil and die, maybe hope potentially.
Yeah.
This could be the end of Peter, and then the next game would just be Miles. I heard of a leak that not a leak, but like a rumor about how the game would end, and I don't believe it at all because what it was detailing to me was like that'll be too, I guess, like it's hard to believe basically if that leak would be true for the end of the game, but I don't know if I should share it or not
Definitely don't share
because
it.
it's complete bullshit when I hear it. Like it just seems like bullshit to me.
You
I
could
will
text it to me.
say, I
I'll
mean,
text it to Frankie.
a lot of people know about the complications between having Miles and Peter existing in the same universe, but this is Insomniac's universe. So
Hmm.
I think some people have to like have to let go of the idea of the version of Miles that they knew. This is a separate universe. Um, I don't know. I think that like then this is not really a spoiler for Miles Morales because it is literally within like the first 2 minutes of the game. But
Hmm.
they very heavily hint at the fact that like Peter Parker is like not immortal. I mean, obviously we know he's not immortal. But he gets the shit kicked out of him in like the first 5 minutes. And
Mhm.
I don't know how much of that is purposefully potentially teasing that like if this happens again by someone stronger, they will kill him. Or if that was just, part of how they kind of write him out of Miles Morales and like just let you play as Miles the whole game. But it's hard to know like how much of what Insomniac's doing is like just sort of convenience factor and how much of it is like to sort of like put a little pin in something and then come back and be like, oh well, we hinted at this in a previous game. That's why it might happen in this game. But I really don't know. I kind of like the mystery of like not knowing what their version of Miles and Peter's universe is, because in the version that we all know, only Miles can be alive. So it's clear that they're not going with that yet.
Right.
But I'm assuming they have something mapped out. I hope it leads to like a third full game. Um, but we also know that they're going to be working on Wolverine.
Oh
So
yeah.
after they're done with this, I'm
And
assuming they'll
because
merge
didn't Insomniac also make the Iron Man VR game?
yes, those are the
So
same universe.
we could also see, another Marvel character that they work on in the future as well. But another question I wanted to ask is, are there any alternate versions of Spider-Man you can think of that didn't make it as a costume in the last game that you would like to see in this game?
I actually have one immediately, which is partially a joke because I don't think it's actually going to happen.
Is it the one with the extra arms?
No.
Okay.
I was looking at the map and I was
Hmm.
like, oh, it's interesting. They're adding Queens. Uh, if they added the Bronx, then I would want Spider-Ca to get an
Spider-Ka, Spider-Ka.
alternate costume because we've had 2 games and we've had no Spider-Ca, and that's too many. I need an
He,
alternate
he needs a
Spider-Ca.
Tim's in the Yankee fitted.
Dude, he had Tim's in Miles Morales. They had an alternate costume with
That's
Tim's. Just
crazy.
didn't
They
have the
did,
Yankee
yeah.
fitted. Um, I want the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. I think
They should put it
as-
in.
huh?
They should.
Yeah, aside from the Homecoming suit, I think that's probably my favorite Spider-Man suit. It's just a shame that it is forever attached to such a horrible movie.
Wow,
You mean the one with the gold spider?
you really come around to that, to just disliking that movie now, huh? How many times have you
Uh
watched it?
I mean, I didn't like it that much either, honestly.
I like, I mean, Frankie knows this, but I like Big Eyes Spider-Man. I like anytime
Yeah,
Spider-Man suit has big ol' eyes. I think it looks
yeah.
great. And that's, I think, one of the best suits they ever did. Uh, but I'm assuming it'll be in this one since they put, I think, the one from the first movie in the last game. So hopefully this one makes it into this
You
one.
know, it'd be funny. You know how the last one had the Spider-Verse ones, and they had the one with like the backpack and like the banding around the arms, the like silly looking one. They
Yes.
should do like and they probably won't do this, but a pop figure Spider-Man like
Oh,
costume. So
Lego
I'm looking at my pop
Spider-Man.
figure right now, like it's just yo, that'd be fucking dope. A Lego Spider-Man.
Yeah, just some sort of
Yeah.
action figure Spider-Man went on, like kind of what WWE did with the action figure John Cena, except don't lock it behind an actual fucking action figure that you can buy at
You know
Walmart.
what's funny? I forgot all about that and I haven't unlocked it yet.
Yeah,
I haven't played in who knows how long. But
yeah.
other
Any final
than
any final thoughts?
other than that, so in terms of like villains that we're gonna see in the game, right? Um,
Yes.
obvious Venom, Craven,
Lizard,
Lizard,
probably
possibly
Rhino.
Black Cat. I hope not Rhino. He was in the Miles game. Like, I don't want to see
Oh,
Rhino
right,
again.
that's right.
We most likely gonna get Green Goblin, because it was hinted at
Ooh,
in the first game.
that could be
So that'd be
cool.
very interesting.
They showed a
Um,
couple. They showed one villain that I am not familiar with. I think his or her name was Wrath.
Wraith.
Wraith?
I'm wondering, is that supposed to be Yuri?
Oh, right.
Maybe.
Because I remember Yuri she became a rogue cop and started killing
Yeah, they
people. And
should bring her back. Maybe
oh,
that is
that's
what her name was.
oh my God, that's dude. Can we?
Oh,
You
that
know, I hate the
probably
summertime. Like it gets hot
probably
in the
is.
summer. I hate it. Can I get to the fall already? Like, can we just?
That would be so sick. Yeah, it's cool that they're bringing back Prowler. Spoilers, Frankie's in the Miles Morales game. Kind of has to
Hmm.
be.
You
Uh,
know, that's funny. I was thinking about that because I forgot what happened to him in the Miles game.
he nothing. He survives.
Because I was like, didn't he die? And I was like, oh no, wait, that's the movie where he died.
No,
Spoilers
yeah,
for
yeah,
Spider-Verse. But
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, he's alive?
He's alive.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Taskmaster, I think they also showed And then there was one villain that they cut away from before they revealed it on the map. So it's clear that, I mean, look, Spider-Man has a lot of villains. Um, I mean, obviously we're not going to get like Mysterio in this game. I don't think. I feel like that's kind of a big villain, but
Mhm.
uh, Spider-Man has, similar to Batman, has like some of the best villains ever. So they have a lot to pull from and a lot of people that they have not used yet. Even though they included a shit ton of people in the first game. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I wish we'd seen the cover, man. I want to see what the case looks like. Uh, if
Even
they
better
put up
because you know they're
pre-orders, I
gonna
probably would have pre-ordered it today.
do a reversible artwork, right? Like that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I
Probably.
still get physical games, and I've noticed not a single one of my Xbox games have reversible artwork, and I fucking hate that.
Oh, you know what else? This was like a small touch. I mean, aside from like there were like a ton of new animations and like finisher moves that all looked super sick. But the HUD for Peter and the HUD for Miles both looked different. They
Mm-hmm.
each had like their own style to it. Like Peter's was much more like straightforward. His health bar had like the little EKG thing next to it, and then on Miles' HUD, his health bar had like an EDM like style techno heart, and his like HUD was a lot more just like vibrant neon colors. Um, I
Yeah, I'm
thought that
looking at
was
it
really
now, and
cool.
I didn't even notice that at first, but I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because it's like you want to differentiate that these are two different people. Like they're both Spider-Man, but fundamentally they're just like different people. They have different attitudes
Yeah,
and just
there's some
different ways of doing things, different interests.
also one's a teenager, one's a young adult or adult now.
Yeah, so I thought that was just a very Insomniac touch. Like that's one of those things that you don't have to do. Like you don't have to differentiate the two HUDs for the two different main characters, but the fact that they did,
Mm-hmm.
I think, aside from like all the moves and suits and whatnot, really adds to the fact that like you are switching between two different people.
Right.
It's a cool little touch. Really, really
Oh, real
cool.
quickly, I went back to the part of the trailer where it shows the different villains in the city. So they do show Tombstone.
Yes.
Makes
They do
sense.
show Taskmaster. There is someone above Taskmaster that it cuts out too quickly, but they also show I think it was Kingpin they showed right there.
Interesting.
And oh, actually, so in the part where the where the raft is, the picture will switch between all the villains who are in there. So it's Kingpin, Electro, Doc Ock. Um,
Hmm.
so doesn't necessarily mean they'll be in the game, but they could maybe have a small cameo or something. But this game is gonna be fucking wild, bro.
Gonna be nuts, dude. I hope it has like a
Mhm.
fucking 50-hour story. Usually I want like shorter games these days, but man, give me like a 30, 40-hour story. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Oh, one thing, as I said about as I looked over the video trailer one more time, it looks like a shell. The alien, the symbiote. It looks more
Mm-hmm.
like a shell. And then obviously when he came out, he had his regular suit, and then it just came onto him, but it looks more like a shell that's alive. It's just it's chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Genius.
I gotta go back and like slow down the footage of him like coming out of the cellar because it looks like he has a new suit. Like it like the
Looks a bit
it
different.
almost looks more like a helmet than a mask.
The well, at least the black suit, it looked more like a helmet. That's what I'm saying. Like it looks like a shell
Right.
almost.
That's like yeah, I kind of want to see like if he
Looks
was
tactical
was
almost.
possibly wearing a different suit when he came out of the
I don't think so, but maybe like a slight redesign of the
I
first
think it's the
PlayStation
same
Spider-Man game.
one. I'm looking at it now. I have it in slow. Um, yeah, it's the symbiote that's making it have that like
Helmet looking like the shell
yeah.
like I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look
Uh,
at when he jumps out, it's the regular, which I played most of my gameplay in the last game with just that white spider suit. I almost never use an alternate suit as much as I use that one.
I used the homecoming suit for like the whole game.
Uh,
Uh, yeah.
Trash. Nah. I use a Scarlet Spider for a lot, as you know. I guess that's gonna do it for this edition of the Three Amigos podcast. The podcast, the Three Amigos react, shall I say? So we're really excited for Spider-Man. I guess quickly, last thing I actually did want to ask was, I know Ant, you kind of said it, but like, what's your official date you think it comes out, or at least month? If you can't give a date,
Um,
give a month.
it's gonna be at least the second or third week of September.
Okay, Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say second week of September.
Yeah, I was thinking September, also just because like yeah, that coincides with when the first game came out. But I'm gonna go and be different. I'm gonna say November, just in time for the holidays, early like
What's that
November.
that meme of like Shia LaBeouf watching the movies and he's like crying out of like happiness or
Yeah.
whatever? That's gonna
Yeah,
be me.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's a day one purchase, man. There's not many games that
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's worth 70,
Ooh,
basically
ooh, ooh,
$80.
ooh. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to buy a PlayStation 5 because if they do a special edition, I'm gonna buy it. I'll buy the special edition Spider-Man PlayStation 5
If
if they
they
do.
do, I think they're just
If
gonna do
they
the faceplates. I don't think they'll do
We'll
a
see.
full.
if they
You never
do,
know. That's their poster boy. Come on, Sony owns the
if they
rights.
do, I gotta get one just to like honor my old one that I had to get rid of. I really missed that one.
R.I.P.
Oh my God, you
R.I.P.
ambitious bastard. But that's gonna do it for this edition of Three Amigos podcast. Thank you so much for joining us and listening and uh geeking out with us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And we'll catch you in the next one. Don't go to bed yet. It's still early at this time at least. But
Go to bed.
go to
Go to
bed.
bed.
Go to
Go to
bed.
Go to
bed.
bed.
Go to
Go to bed.
bed.
All right. Later, guys.